Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to do a recording, show you how I chart my support and resistance lines. Supply and demand zones, very similar. The big differences between the two supply and demand zones, you plot right before a big move happens, where a support and resistance line, you typically want to plot where you have at least a 2 to 3 touch rule. And I'll explain that as I'm charting these out and kind of show you the difference. But essentially, they're the same areas you want to chart for, depending on how you want to trade, either supply and demand or support and resistance. There's no wrong or right way to do it. It's just different ways to identify different areas. So I'm going to go through my breakdown on what I do and how I chart. It's going to look like a lot of lines on the screen. I'm going to do that on purpose. This video is actually made for a couple people who are asking about having multiple lines on the screen and having the screen look too busy or afraid that it will look too busy. But in all reality, the higher time frames, you don't have to do that as often. It's kind of like a one and done type of thing. Check it every now and then. So it doesn't get as busy as one might think. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'll be showing you two different platforms, ThinkorSwim and TradingView, just to show you the differences between the two platforms. The process essentially is pretty much the same, just different looks, different views, which is why I want to do that. But the first one is trading or ThinkorSwim. My apologies. I want to go ahead and select my drawing tool. If I can, where to go? If I can find it. Okay, maybe not. All right. So I'm just going to go from left of the screen to the right of the screen and then top down. So Tesla, I chose Tesla to do this for all the different types of stocks. It's just a blank chart for me, which is the reason why I chose Tesla. I'm going to click up here. So these are my default timeframes for ThinkorSwim. I use the same ones for TradingView as well. So if you want to sit there and trade or to favorite those, I look at the weekly, or I have the weekly, then the daily, which is what we're on right now, then the 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15 minute, 5 minute, and I switch between the 1 and 2 minute time frames. And then, for the higher ones, I have a 3 year, 180 day, a 20 day, a 10 day, 5 day, and I use 5 day and 1 day for the lower time frames. But essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these time frames. So I'm going to start out on the weekly, then go to the daily, and then 4 hour, and then 1 hour, and I'm going to stop at the 1 hour. But again, reading from left to right, top down, you're just going to identify areas where price touched multiple times. So I'm going to mark a plot there, mark a plot there, and they don't have to be exact. A lot of concern is, do I place my line at the top of a wick, at the top of a body candle? In an area like this where you have a body candle with a long wick, you can actually use those as two different points. But an area somewhere like this where it's a smaller wick, these are just used mainly for guides. They're not always going to be exact. So even when you're in a trade and you're approaching a level and you're happy with the profits, take the profits. Don't sit there and wait for that extra 10 cents, because that extra weight can be the part where the stock reverses and then goes back down, and then you lose your profits. So again, these are just areas to watch out for. They're not exact lines. They're never going to be exact. So don't worry so much on placing the line at the exact location. Just get in the relatively close area. So I marked a couple here. I'll mark a couple down here as well. So these are going to be your support lines. Up here is going to be your resistance. I'm just kind of going through and marking some. I don't really necessarily want to mark all these because the price of the stock is over here, not down here. So if I mark anything down here, it's just going to be wasted space. So that's probably all I'm going to mark. For this one, I'll mark this right here. For the weekly time frame. But the reasons why I mark these, so we have the top up here, which I'm going to mark as the high. And I'll probably just put that as a different color just to mark it as a high. So I'm going to just put that as, I'll do a red line. And you can rename these. So like another thing that I'll do that helped me out is I'll put resistance on a weekly. So as you can see here, the name changed to resistance weekly. So when I go down to a smaller time frame, I know what line that comes from. The higher the time frame, the said to be stronger conviction is to, or confirmation is to, areas when it comes to the price action. So weekly, dailies, those are strong levels you want to keep an eye on. You want to be able to identify those in the lower time frames. So that's just a little tip that I do, that I learned. But what we're looking for, the 2 to 3 touch rule. So you're looking for a price point or a candle to touch an area at least 2 or 3 times, which will indicate a strong support and resistance. Obviously, the more the better, but at least 2 to 3. So right here we have, so this is the high, which is why I marked that. The next one down, we have a touch here, a touch here, and a touch here, which are 3 touches. Same for here. We have a touch here, a touch here, and then a touch here, and so on and so forth. Here, 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 down here, 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 and just keep going down. And in any area you see multiple touches, that's where I'm going to draw my support and resistance lines. Once I go ahead and do this on the weekly, I'm going to sit there and change my default to the daily. So from weekly to daily, as you can see, the lines are still there. As you can see, a lot of them are still valid. Sometimes you're going to have new lines pop out like this one right here. So I'm going to put this guy right here. And I want to just label this one daily, just so you can see the differences when I'm on the other ones. Daily, and I'm going to put reference number 12 because that's the 12th line. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Once I draw the next line, it will be a 13. So here's another spot right here, because we have price here, all these touches right here, right here, right here. And see how it says price level right here. Oh, sorry, it's a price level 12 because I renamed that one. So price level 12 instead of a 13. But again, right here, here's some other areas. Right here, right here, right here, right here. Tops right here. All these right here. So you're just going to go ahead and plot points, plot multiple, as many as you want. If you think less is more, it looks like it's getting busy. Whoa, what am I looking at? It's not as, it looks busy, but once we go to like the 5 minute, it will be a huge difference. So after the daily, we're going to go ahead and mark the 4 hour. And I probably missed some. I'm not marking all of them. I'm not trying to trade with this. I'm just showing this for reference, which is why I'm not taking the time to mark like all the levels. But just mark all the levels from the start. And yeah, we don't have to worry about it. So we're on the daily. The next one we're going to go down to is a 4 hour. As you can see, there's a couple other price points up over here that I'm going to mark. Right up over here. Got these guys over here. Here's another one down here. These guys. Price going over there is consolidating between those two range, or those two price points. So that's essentially what you're going to do. And you just keep doing that on the 4 hour. And then lastly, we're going to land on the 1 hour. And that's going to be the last one that we do, because the lower time frames, you should be recharting these every time you trade. So before you even trade, you want to rechart it. The weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, like I said, you don't have to touch as much. The weekly, daily, even less. The 4 hour, 1 hour, a little bit more. Just because you want to make sure, you don't need to add new levels. It's not so much adjusting the current levels, it's seeing if you need to add new ones in case there's any big movements in the stock. So just going down to the 1 hour, you can see all those lines. So I'm going to flip back to the weekly real quick. So weekly, look at all those lines. That looks like a mess. What am I even looking at, right? So you go down to the 1 hour, there's only 4 lines. And as you can see, price respected those lines pretty well. So, same thing, you can go to the 1 hour and mark new levels if you need to. And these are all price points that you need to be looking at when you're day trading. Okay, so now I added a few more, and let's go to the 5 minute and see how that looks. So 5 minute, oh, that looks like a mess, right? So let's zoom in on the day. When you're in the actual trading day, it gives you a couple different options, which is what you want. You don't want one or two lines to show up because it doesn't really give you a story, right? So with all those lines, switching back to the weekly again real quick, all those lines that look like a mess, you go down to the 5 minute, you zoom in, you still see a lot in the full screen view because you're looking at 5 days back, remember? So it's a zoomed out view of the chart. So before you even get into pre-market, let me zoom back out real quick. Before you get into pre-market and your trading day, you can look at the 5 minute and look at all these and see where you are price wise and what you want to target. But when you're in day, this is today's trading. We're in the middle of towards the end of the trading day, but this is today. You can see price respected those levels completely. And these are all ones that I haven't done any new lines on the 5 minute. These are all done on the higher time frames, stopping at the 1 hour. Price right over here, try to break over. Before open, we have this huge first 5 minute candle down, which is the retest of that break. Happen to retest all the way down to this lower price level. So you could have had an entry right here, ride this all the way up, first profit target level, second profit target level, third profit target level, all the way up or on the way down. However you want to play it, this will allow you to identify the patterns, look at your indicators, read your price action. This is where learning how to, like the candlesticks, doji candles and all these types of bigger body wick or bigger body candles. This is what you like to see versus the smaller body with the longer wicks. So all this will help tell the story as well, but at least if you do the support and resistance, that's what you'll see. Real quick, while I have you on this screen, I know I talked about supply and demand zone and support and resistance zone in the very beginning. I don't want to use this video to really highlight the big differences because that's not what the intent of the video was. It was just to show you the clutter on the screen. But a supply and demand zone. So the big difference, like I said, supply and demand is the candles that you mark prior to a big move. So this right here is considered a big move up. So your supply zone would be this area all the way down to the wick. It wouldn't allow me to do it, so that's why I couldn't. But you measure the open to the end of the wick. So up here, big move down. You measure the close to the top of the wick. There's your supply demand zone. These are support and resistance because we have 2, 3 touches. Remember the difference? So 1 touch, 2 touch, this is considered a resistance line. You can say that's a mini supply or intraday supply demand zone right here, right here. Yes, that is true. But it depends on how you mark it on the chart and what you mark. But just know the levels are pretty still close. And you can still use them the same way. So price gets up here. Typically, it's going to reject. As you can see, this rejected and came all the way down. If the price would break through this, then that would be a trigger for a call. Same thing for here. Price bounced off this level and get in for calls right on the way up. If the price breaks down below this, that's a trigger for puts all the way down to your next profit target level, whatever that is, resistance, support, however you draw that out. So that's it for ThinkorSwim. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to switch on over to TradingView just to show the different types of charts. The process is the exact same. So I don't do anything different. Down here, I have all my days and then the times of the time frames down here. So I'm not gonna go all the way to the weekly. That's the weekly right there, but I'm gonna pick the daily. And the lines and stuff are different. The way like trend lines and horizontal lines, they're different. But I'm gonna do essentially the same process. So I'm gonna start here. There's one line. A second line, so touch, touch, right here, touch, 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 touch. So the drawings and the outlines are a little different. It's just different platform. Again, the process is not different. It just depends on user preference, on what you like to see and what you like to use. So I'm just going to do a couple of these and I'll go down to the lower time frames just so you can see the difference. So we'll mark those and then we'll mark, that's where price is today. So we'll mark these guys. And again, these aren't exact. So don't get all caught up on, oh, I need to have it like at exactly, $630.7. Like the range is more than you need. So 4 hours, this is the trading day. As you can see, these are still the lines. Go down to the 1 hour, less lines, but there gives you, some areas to watch for. So now we can do a couple more. I'm just going to throw them on there just for visual purposes. Okay. And then land at the 5 minute. So if we would have done it properly, we would have had lines drawn over there, just like we had in ThinkorSwim. But as you can see, there would have been aligned, about here, here. And so we have the consolidation here, tops over here. So I'm not even looking at this day and look where the lines are popping or are respecting. I'm watching this chart and just drawing the lines based off of this yesterday's trading. And as you can see, it respected the lines pretty closely. So coming in today, these are your lines that you're playing with. Your entries, your exits, your profit targets, possible stop losses, depending on when you enter and how your stop losses are structured. But this is through TradingView. One of the things that someone mentioned was the auto log. So like when I switch, so I'm going to turn this off right here. I'm going to switch to the year and this nonsense shows up. So you got to sit there and scroll and do all this. If you just hit auto, make sure it's off, switch the time frame, make sure it's on, it should readjust. If it doesn't, swap it on and off the auto button right here a couple times. I don't know why it does that. This is with TradingView only, but this is the easiest way that I found to adjust that. So you don't have to sit there and like scroll and pinch and zoom and all that nonsense. You just hit auto. I can do it at any time. There's my screen now, auto. Change the time frame, auto. So that's all I have for today. I wanted to do kind of a shorter video, again, just to identify how I do my lines and different questions that came up for the, drawing your lines out on the higher time frames and making your screen more cluttered. So hopefully this helps. If it does or doesn't, please let me know in the comments what I can improve on, what you need clarification on. Reach out to me, join my Discord if you have a Discord that runs I run a trading community, and our sole purpose is to teach people how to trade properly. My Discord is a little different. I know I say that, everyone says that, it's so cliche, but I really believe that is true because we provide content like this constantly. It's going to constantly be growing, constantly providing more content, more education. The goal for all this is for everybody to learn. So if anyone can sit there and help lessen that curve, you're better off, in my opinion. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your feedback. If you have any questions, please don't feel free to, or please don't hesitate to reach out. If you're in my Discord, you already know how we run. If you're not in my Discord, I'll post a link in here as well, so you can join it. You won't be disappointed, that I promise. Other than that, have a good rest of the trading day. We have about an hour and a half left, hour and 40 minutes left in the trading day. If you've already done trading, let's get ready for tomorrow's Friday training and get some bags. You guys have a good one.